All right. So back to this. Whee. So cool. Um, One fun thing that we have now to play with, especially for interactive rendering, is if you crush down all these various settings so that your stuff is super lame looking and grainy, what you can do is turn this button on here if a few things. This is the NVIDIA optics denoiser. Tilt tip text is not turning on right now. I don't know why. But I'm going to turn it on, and let's see what we got. What this does is it takes grainy images and makes a lot of assumptions as to what it probably should look like. And so things will end up looking, see how smeared out this looks right now? So there's no grain. It also looks wrong. But as it continues to refine the image anyway, it'll start looking more and more right. And ultimately, we're at the end of it, we now have an image that doesn't really have much grain. It might be wrong still in parts, but it does a pretty good job for this interactive rendering to get you to a non-grainy image faster. So if I looked at like the geometry light indirect, or rather, because I'm not using indirect right now. Well, anyway, yeah, it smooths things out. It uses AI, honestly, fed off of billions of images of what the grainy version looked like and what the non-grainy version looked like. It sees the difference. And so it does a pretty good job of smoothing things out. Or, I mean, it does a good enough job. So there is that version of it. And if we turn it off again, you'll see, obviously, the regular version. Now, it can be too aggressive. It might smooth out actual detail that you want. This is really just for the interactive view. This isn't really for your final renders. So obviously, there you go. But you can see how it really did smooth out all this grain. So in areas like this, you might have just been like, yeah, that's what it looks like. Maybe it is, again, more obviously wrong in areas like that. But that's because we gave it these insanely bright lights that it's probably not used to. It's AI, it's not perfect. But it is good enough to remove quite a bit of the grain, as you can see. Most of the image looks pretty good. So it's a nice way to, when you are crushing all of these settings here to make you have horrible images, to have it actually still look pretty good. Imagine we did a 1x1 render like this, but if I turn on the optics denoiser, it still smoothed it out. It doesn't look that good, but that's because we really gave it trash input to work with. So it's still pretty impressive stuff. I should have said up front, and I'll put an annotation now, you may not be able to use this. For one, you have to have an NVIDIA card. So Radeon, not going to work. For two, you have to have an NVIDIA card that's new enough. I believe it has to be approximately a card since 2012 or so with a Kepler architecture. Number three, your card has to just be good enough in general, or else it'll, might take too long. But the main thing is you need to have a Kepler-enabled NVIDIA card, and you need to actually download it. It doesn't come with Houdini. It's built in and ready to go, but you need to actually go click render and go download NVIDIA Optics Denoiser, and then that'll bring you to a website, and you can download it, and then it'll work. So God knows, that's one of those things that'll probably change in the next version or something, but enjoy it while it's there or whatever. Hopefully someday there's like a denoiser that doesn't require you to have an NVIDIA card. But yeah, pretty fun to work with that. I think it's super nice to iterate faster. If you are an insane person, and I know some of you are, and you wanted to use it for your final images, you can. If you go to the images, the extra image planes thing, or actually not even extra image planes, if you just go to output, the default Gaussian pixel filter is this slight little blur that's applied to your image. You can choose NVIDIA Optics Denoiser from this, and your final images will actually now use this instead. It will work. The issue with it is that it doesn't know. The AI is looking at, it's saying, based on all of these various still images that I've seen before, this is how it should be denoised. So in addition to it just having problems anyway, it doesn't know anything about time. So its solution here might look different enough on the next frame that you will notice. So things might jump around and turn on and off and flicker in a weird way from frame to frame. And in fact, it's likely that they will. The more specific and non-noisy image you can give it, the less it will do that, but then also the less of the point of using it in the first place. So it is not, as we say, temporally cohesive, meaning it's not consistent through time. So it's still great to use if you're making a single image, then by all means. But used for an animation, it can and will have issues, and especially if it is a noisy image, which is why you're using it in the first place, it will be even more likely to look different from frame to frame. So just so you know, you can use it. It's very fun, but probably don't.